Hey folks, it's Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. And this is one of Van Damme's best direct-to-video films, and that is Wake of Death. A film by Philippe Martinez. Revenge was all he had left. Now, I don't know how much of this is actually Philippe Martinez, his work, because I remember hearing about Ringo Lam had started directing this, but I could have sworn I heard that he had filmed a couple weeks, and then, because of some differences, he left. I don't know what the whole deal was. I think he was going to film in Canada, but then they went to South Africa, and I don't know how much Reno Lamb filmed, and how much of this is Philippe Martinez, but so I don't know. I do know this is a pretty damn good revenge flick with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, it starts right off with this pretty damn good car chase. Van Damme shooting from his car, the vehicle spins out, he's trying to grab this Chinese girl, uh, and then this tanker truck is coming at them. Then it cuts to Van Damme sitting with these two bodies. And we'll see how that comes into play later on in the film. And this definitely has a little bit of a brutal feel to it, which is one reason I like it. For example, the bad guy has sex with this girl, and then immediately, after she says one or two things, cuts her throat with a knife. And the daughter runs away to go and gets on a boat, goes to America. Van Damme's character works at a bar. Well, he even says an ex-mob enforcer. And he talks about how he's tired of the clubs, he's tired of this and that. He just wants to be with his family. And I like the bit when he's playing video games with his kid, having fun with him. And Van Damme, once again, I've said this a few times, and Until Death, in this review I'll have a JCVD. For people who say Van Damme cannot act, they haven't not seen films like these. They haven't. Because he certainly can. Either just being a normal dad, playing video games with his kid, or especially when he loses it later on in the flick. Because his wife brings home that Chinese girl, the refugee, home with her because she's a social worker. You find out that one of the guys that she works with, an INS guy, is dirty, working with the bad guy. And the bad guy is Simon Yam, who's, if you look him up, he's been in quite a few films. He has a nice presence to him as a bad guy. He's a nice look to it, cold, calculating look as a bad guy. So I thought he worked well. Didn't have to say much. He didn't say much, but he worked well. His wife is eating with some folks at a restaurant, and the bad guys come in and kill everyone. They shoot this poor old lady right in the head, and you see the back of her head, practical blood strip. You go, ooh, shit, they just fucked up that poor old lady. Bad guys that you really want to hate. And they slice Van Damme's wife's throat. Van Damme arrives there too late, driving, hits one with his car, shooting some with his gun, shoots one in the foot, then shoots him in the chest, shoots another guy in the chest. Finds wife dead, gives a great performance where he's crying and he's shot and he's just letting the tears flow. Wasn't funny, wasn't hokey, wasn't corny, wasn't sappy. It worked very well. And then Van Damme goes home and he's drinking, he loses it, has a picture of his wife, and just the way he loses it, once again, does a great job acting wise. Now, before I get into it, yeah, sometimes the music could be a little bit overbearing. Sometimes I wish the music would have toned it down just a bit. Also, some of the supporting actors, like the woman who played his wife and even the kid who plays his son, they're not the best actors. Like, Van Damme's blowing them out of the water, in my opinion. But the little nitpicks for me. I can see why they'd be a bigger bother for people, but I could deal. I can deal with it. But then a guy comes in to his place trying to attack him, and Van Damme, once again, he's pissed off. Where's my son? Tits the fucker out the window. Guy runs away. He's shooting in anger, trying to kill him. Finds out his son and the little girl who escaped earlier has gone to this place. Confronts the little girl. He even gets pissed at the girl. Why did my wife bring you to my home? But he doesn't go too far to make him unlikable. But he's pissed off, understandably so, and has to tell his son that his mom's dead. Goes with his buddy to this hooker place. They have a ski mask on. They got shotguns, and they fuck up a couple people. Van Damme shoots one from in between this girl's legs. Nice practical blood squibs. Even hits the guy who goes over the banister, falls, and guy smacks his face right into one of the banisters, blood flowing. Completely dead. And then there's another one of the bad guys who's tied up because one of those kinky sex things, and says, this is for my wife. Guy tells him to fuck off, and Van Damme just shoots with just anger in his eyes. I like that. I'm like, okay, Van Damme gets some of this. If you want to play dark roles, look at this film and has some anger, or has some tears, or has some frustration on your face instead of just dead eyes. That's what I like about this film. It's one of those films that's not just dead eyes, a zombie. He's pissed, he's angry, and just shoots the guy. And you see the big goopy blood just splatter on the wall. And he has a couple buddies at his place. He has this one guy named Tony, I believe. Then there's another guy who's in a wheelchair. There's another guy who doesn't speak English. Even when a cop comes by the place, he goes, "How's the English?" "No." "Still jazz shit?" "No." "Ben?" "Yes." Because I believe Van Damme's character's name is Ben Archer, which is a nice name for a character, actually. And the cop mentions the INS guy, and Van Damme puts two and two together. They grab the INS guy, and I love Van Damme. "You know what we do with pieces of shit like you and Marcel?" And they fucking drill the guy's arm. They drill his arm, they drill his knees to get information. Van Damme gets a call that he's got to go to the morgue because the bad guys have put drugs in there, and the cop wants to tell him everything that's going on. So Van Damme leaves while the other still tortures this guy, this asshole who gave up the information on his wife. Pretty brutal. Find out that the bad guys are at this pier, and they even drill the guy right in the eye. When Van Damme gets to the hospitals, the cop and some other folks have been killed. He shoots one, chases one on a motorcycle. Pretty good motorcycle chase. Some nice stunt work. Some nice bits of camera work in this flick as well. Some nice pull-ins, pull-outs, and you get some nice stunt work. And they go through this mall. Van Damme gets the bicycle helmet, hits a guy right in the face. And it's not much of a fight, to be honest. It's very quick. Van Damme does like a kick and a punch and then stomps the motherfucker. So it's not much of a fight, but it is what it is. Then leads to Van Damme coming back. The guy in the wheelchair and the guy who couldn't speak English, they've been killed. His son and the little girl's been taken. Van Damme's chasing it. Nice car chase. That's the car chase we were seeing at the beginning of the film. Very well done. This is a car chase I could see in a big budget movie, to be honest. So I thought it was used well. I mean, if this was a theatrical film, I would believe it. I really do feel that way, because this is a pretty decent car chase. Some nice stunts. Getting the girl into his vehicle, while the bad guys and another car drive out with his son. They swerve, they peel out. Van Damme gets the little girl, drives off in his car, and the tanker comes and just blows up Nice practical explosion. Talks with his buddy Tony. One thing leads to another. Goes on this pretty much the last rampage, where they get to the pier, and Van Damme is driving the car, jumps out of the car, hits these barrels, and it blows up, catches people on fire. Van Damme gets 2 guns, dual wielding guns. Granted, not as cool as Hard Target, but still nice to see. Shooting this guy. His buddy comes in and fights a couple people. And Van Damme just shooting one guy in the chest. Some fisticuffs. Some nice kicks. Nice punches in there. Not going to go in detail on every single one. Nice bits of action. Yeah, it's not Die Hard, but some nice little bits of action. Gets in a confrontation with Simon Yam, and they both sort of draw and fire each other, and Van Damme gets hit, is wounded, but Simon Yam gets killed. It ends with the little kid coming in and hugging Van Damme, and pretty much that's when the movie ends. It's almost like if it's a horror movie, when the monster's dead, the movie's over. This is one of those films that's really straightforward. It's not that long a film. I mean, without the end credits, it's an hour and 20-some minutes long. And what you get is a nice little bit of a brutal atmosphere to the flick, which works well for a revenge flick. Simon Yam doesn't have much to say, but he's a nice presence to him. Look, cold, calculating killer. Some nice bits of action. You get a little bit of fisticuffs, a little bit of gunplay, some nice car chase, nice motorcycle chase. Great performance by Jean-Claude Van Damme. And a pretty satisfying film. I mean, yeah, I would like to have seen more longer fights, fisticuffs with Van Damme. That would have been nice. Like, the fisticuffs felt a little too short. But thankfully, it wasn't like there was just 1 or 2 of them. And also, I thought some of the supporting actors, again, woman who played his wife, the boy who played his kid, and the music was a little bit overbearing at times, a little bit too loud when it could have been a lot softer. But those are little nitpicks. There's still a lot to offer. It has a nice atmosphere to it, nice revenge movie, revenge story. When I watched this, I go, he could have been Max Payne, for fuck's sake. This is a better Max Payne than the fucking Max Payne movie. To be honest, it's a more lower budget, but it's a hell lot better movie than Max Payne with Mark Wahlberg. So, but yeah, I enjoy this film. Thought this is definitely one of Van Damme's best flicks, direct-to-video wise. I mean, I'm a sucker for his earlier films, so those will always be the best for me. But for his later years, this is one of his best ones, Wake of Death. That's just my opinion. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.